Welcome back to Explaining Everything, the channel where we dive into the stories and mysteries behind everyday things. Today's question comes from one of our curious viewers, Turbo Gerbil 8901. Thanks for the suggestion, Turbo Gerbil. You asked, why are streetlights yellow instead of white? If we can put people on the moon and make self-driving cars, why do our streets still look like they're lit by 1970s nostalgia? Is there a reason for this? Or did someone just really like the color yellow? Well, turns out there's a very good reason for it. And it's not just to make your neighborhood look like an old-timey detective movie. From energy efficiency to cutting through fog, yellow streetlights have been the go-to choice for decades. But now, things are changing, and cities are switching to white LEDs. So, what's the deal? Why did we spend so long bathing our streets in that orangey glow? And why are we moving away from it now? Let's flip the switch and find out right here on Explaining Everything. The reason older streetlights give off that warm, yellow-orange glow is because of the type of bulb they use: sodium vapor lamps. These lamps work by passing an electrical current through a small amount of sodium gas, exciting the sodium atoms and producing light. But sodium is very particular. It doesn't give off a full spectrum of colors like a regular light bulb. Instead, it emits light in a very narrow range, which happens to be in the yellow-orange part of the spectrum. This isn't just a weird sodium quirk. It's actually useful. Yellow light interacts with our eyes in a way that makes it easier to see in low-light conditions. It also cuts through fog and haze better than white light does, which is why you're more likely to see yellowish streetlights in places with frequent misty weather. But sodium vapor lamps weren't chosen just for their eerie glow. They had other benefits too. Mainly, they were incredibly energy efficient. Compared to older incandescent or mercury vapor lamps, sodium lights produced a lot more brightness for a lot less electricity. And when you're lighting up an entire city, saving energy means saving money. Long before we had electric streetlights, cities were lit by gas lamps. These were basically giant candles fueled by gas, and while they did the job, they also had a tendency to, explode. Fire and street lighting weren't exactly the safest combination, so when electric lights came along in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, people were more than happy to make the switch. At first, cities used incandescent bulbs, but these weren't very efficient. They burned out quickly and used a lot of energy. Mercury vapor lamps came next, producing a bluish-white light, but they had their own issues, including toxic mercury content. Then, in the 1930s, sodium vapor lamps entered the scene. These lights were brighter, lasted longer, and used way less electricity than their predecessors. Cities jumped on board, and by the 1970s, sodium streetlights were everywhere, giving the world that signature golden glow. If you've ever driven under modern LED streetlights, you might have noticed they look a lot more like daylight than the older yellow ones. So, if white light is more natural, why didn't we use it before? For one, older white light options weren't nearly as efficient as sodium vapor lamps. Mercury vapor lights were an option, but they used more energy and didn't last as long. Plus, white light can create more glare, which is a problem for drivers at night. Yellow light, on the other hand, is easier on the eyes and reduces the chances of being blinded by reflections. There's also the issue of light pollution. White light contains more blue wavelengths, which scatter more in the atmosphere and contribute to that hazy glow over big cities. Astronomers in particular hate this because it makes it harder to see the stars. Sodium vapor lights, with their limited spectrum, were a little kinder to the night sky. But technology moves fast, and LEDs have changed the game. Today, many cities are replacing their old sodium vapor lamps with LED streetlights. LEDs are even more energy efficient than sodium lights. They last longer, and they can produce a more natural white light that improves color visibility. Ever wondered why some older neighborhoods make everything look brown and dull at night? That's because sodium lights distort color perception. With LEDs, you can actually tell the difference between a red and a green car at night, which is pretty helpful if you don't want to mistake your Uber for someone else's. However, not everyone is thrilled about the change. Some people find LED streetlights too harsh and say they ruin the cozy, warm feeling of nighttime. Others worry that LEDs, which contain more blue light, could mess with sleep cycles by interfering with melatonin production. If you've ever scrolled on your phone late at night and then wondered why you can't fall asleep, it's that same blue light effect, except now it's coming from your streetlights. Still, the benefits of LEDs are hard to ignore, and the shift away from yellow sodium lights is happening fast. In just a few years, most streets will be lit by white LEDs, and the nostalgic glow of old sodium lamps will become a thing of the past. So, why have streetlights been yellow for so long? Because sodium vapor lamps were cheap, efficient, and practical. They saved cities money, made roads safer by reducing glare, and even helped astronomers by producing less light pollution. But as LED technology improves, we're seeing a shift toward white streetlights. They offer better color visibility, even greater energy efficiency, and longer lifespans. Not everyone loves the change, but it's happening fast. So if your neighborhood still has that warm, golden glow, enjoy it while you can. Before long, everything will be lit in bright white light, and future generations will look at old photos and ask, "Wait, why did street lights used to be yellow?" If you enjoyed this video and learned something new about why streetlights have those yellow-orange hue, hit that like button and subscribe. Also, if you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for tuning in, and join us next time here in the channel that answers all the why, what, who, where, and how questions you've always wondered about, here on Explaining Everything.